Hello, this video is going to explain how to find the slope that is parallel and the slope that is perpendicular to another line. Okay, all right, so parallel and perpendicular slopes. Okay, so first of all, let's just kind of quickly review what parallel lines are and what perpendicular lines are. Okay, so parallel lines are lines that will never intersect. Okay, they have the same rise and run, so they have the same slope here. Okay, so these guys are parallel. And here they have the same slope. Okay, so if this one over here has a slope of 2, 3, 2 over 3, so rise 2, run 3, rise 2, run 3. Then this one up above also has a slope of 2 over 3. Okay, so here they have the same slope. Okay, perpendicular lines. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so perpendicular lines, if you remember, they intersect at 90 degrees. So let's suppose that we have this line. Okay, and so they have to intersect at 90 degrees, right? Okay, and so here we could see here that they don't have the same slope because, first of all, this line right here has a positive slope, and this line over here has a negative slope. Okay, so they can't have the same slope. One's positive and one's going to be negative. Okay, so what happens is they have negative reciprocal slopes, and I'll explain what that means. Reciprocal slopes. Okay, so negative meaning opposite signs. So like, let's say this one is 2/3, right? Then the other one can't be 2/3 because clearly it's a negative line, right? It's going downward. Okay, so negative reciprocal means that the other one, this line over here, down here. So if that one is positive, this one is negative. And reciprocal, that means you flip that fraction. So instead of 2/3, it's going to be 3 over 2. Okay, so parallel lines have same slopes. Perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. Okay, so let's take a look here. So if the slope of my main line is 3/4, right? Then let's take a look and see what the slope would be for the parallel line and for the perpendicular line. Okay, so remember, parallel lines have the same slope, perpendicular have negative reciprocals. So if the slope is 3/4, then parallel has the same 3/4, and perpendicular has opposite sign and flip that fraction. Okay, so if this one over here is positive, then my perpendicular one will be opposite sign, which will be negative, and then flip that fraction. So 4 over 3. Okay, and that's pretty much it. But let's do a few more examples just to make sure you understand. Okay, so suppose that my slope is negative 1/2. Okay, then let's find the parallel slope and let's find the perpendicular slope. Okay, Parallel is easy. That's the one it's going to be exactly the same. So parallel slope here should be -1/2. Okay. Perpendicular, opposite sign. So here it's negative. So perpendicular will be positive. And flip that fraction. So you can write it as 2 or you can write it as 2 over 1. It's the same. Okay. I will accept both on a test. Okay. So just remember perpendicular, you take the opposite sign and flip that fraction. All right, let's take a look at this one. Suppose that my slope is um, -5. Okay, so then here, let's figure out the parallel slope and let's figure out the perpendicular. Okay, all right, parallel slope, that one's the easy one. The slope is the same. So slope is -5. And then perpendicular, this might trick some of you guys because you don't see a fraction. Okay, but let's start off with the sign. The perpendicular slope is going to be what? Negative or positive? Okay, good. Hopefully you said positive. Okay, so it's going to be positive. You don't have to write a positive sign. Okay, so it's going to be positive. And if you're trying to figure out what fraction that is, remember you can turn any integer into a fraction by putting it over 1. Okay, so there, now do you see the fraction? Okay, so now let's go ahead and take the opposite sign and flip that fraction. So my perpendicular slope would be positive 1/5. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you don't see a fraction. You could turn it into a fraction by putting it over 1. Okay, all right, so now let's take an equation. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So given this equation, so let me write 3x minus 4y equals 8. Okay. So given this equation, I want you to find the slope of that equation, find the parallel slope, and find the perpendicular slope. Okay. All right. So first of all, I have to rewrite that equation. So I'm going to go off to the side and I need to get the y by itself. Remember that? Okay. So we need to get that y by itself. So I need to subtract 3x on both sides. Okay. So I'm going to subtract 3x to get rid of that. Okay. And then that will leave me with -4y. You have to bring that negative down. Okay, so -4y. And then on this side, I'm going to go ahead and write the -3x first. And then I'll write that +8. Okay. And now I need to get that y by itself by dividing both sides by -4. And that will cancel them out. But then I have to divide this side, everything, including this 8, okay, by -4. All right, and let's see what we end up with. So I end up with y by itself. Right here, this is what some of you guys keep messing up on. Double negative becomes positive. Here, I don't have double negative, so that's going to be negative. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay, so now that I have it written like that, now I can answer the questions over here. Okay, I'll answer it in green. Okay, so the slope of this equation is 3 over 4. Okay, because I see it right here. Okay, parallel slope, it's always going to be the same. So parallel slope is also 3 over 4. My perpendicular slope, opposite sign and flip that fraction. So opposite sign, so it's going to be negative. And then flip that fraction, so it'll be 4 over 3. Okay, and that is pretty much all there is to it for parallel and perpendicular slopes. Okay, so just remember parallel slopes are always going to be the same. Perpendicular will be opposite sign and flip that fraction. Okay, if you have any questions, just email me.